Hello, I'm Matt Guff from House.com, and this is a pair of Vans Infuse Patmore Pro Model snowboard boots for 2020. The Vans Infuse boots are pretty rugged, pretty wild looking boot right here. It's a high performance, it's an all-mountain freestyle boot, and this is actually Patmore's professional model boot. This is the boot that he wanted from Vans, and they gave it to him. It is absolutely packed with technology. You can check it out at thehouse.com by selecting the links below in the description if you want to get more in depth with specs and nerdy stuff. But I'm going to walk you through this piece. There really is a lot going on, but I'm going to start out with the lacing system. It looks like it's a boa with a traditional lace, and it kind of is, but it kind of isn't at the same time. There is laces, traditional laces, which is nice, and then there is a boa system. But this boa system is pretty unique because it actually works with this custom slide that's on the mid-step of this fairly stiff tongue. Now this slide can be moved, basically anywhere that you'd like for additional kind of pressure and support. And all you have to do is tighten this thing up, and then it locks your heel into the heel pocket of the boot. It's a really nice touch. In addition to that, and it may not look like much, there's this kind of like little fabric style loop that runs the laces through it. And that actually does a really good job at locking the laces in place and separating both the lower and upper zones for different styles of tension. So when I ride like a big mountain or an all mountain style boot, I tend to have my lower sections fairly loose and my upper sections stiff, and the Infuse is a boot that allows that. Another thing to note is that there's actually two little hooks, not three, of this all mountain boot, and that's because of this power strap that's up on top. I really like my upper sections of my boot really tight and firm against my the upper section of the boot. And that power strap does a much better job than having just another lace hook and trying to tighten it. I really enjoy the power strap. Now this is a really stiff boot though. It's pretty much damn near 10 out of 10. Has triple reinforced style stitching, a little bit of flex notches, but no articulation. And then another really unique thing called flex control. Now the flex control is actually in the tongue. You can take out these 3D molded flex panels that make the boot stiffer across the top of that toe side edge. You can make them feel softer or stiffer on the lateral or medial side, depending on what your preferences are, but there's an ability to control the flex with these flex control sliders, which is actually pretty cool. Underneath your foot, of course, is going to be a lot of stuff. There's an inverted style waffle sole with additional rugged rubber style tread, and then kind of this energy style foam. It's called Ultra Kush. Ultra Kush, of course, absorbs lots of impact and shock, but it is really lightweight. Now, inside of this thing is some additional stuff. There's a nice cuff that wraps around this heat moldable V3 liner. That cuff actually goes up fairly high onto that liner, and there's additional support panels within it, which allows it to be just a little bit more stiff. Now, this liner is pretty unique too. Not only is it probably the coolest looking liner that there is because of the checkers, it has an X cage wrap around the outside, has an additional kind of J-bars there, and then internal J-bars as well. It's actually fairly cush and fairly plush, and it's custom heat moldable too. Now, Vans and the North Face kind of teamed up and shared some technology, and this material is actually called flash dry. So it dries quite a bit faster, and it wickens moisture away from your foot. So if your feet get swampy and sweaty, it'll displace that moisture outside of that liner so your feet stay dry, which is actually really cool. And then there's also this thing. This is a V3 insole. It's called PopCush. Now PopCush is kind of similar to what Vans does in some of their skate shoes. It's actually really thick. It has three different materials to it, two different foams, and then kind of like a harder style supportive plastic that acts as a 3D arch support and heel cradle. This is a nice little piece and matches up well with everything else that's going on with the Vans Infuse. Again, Patmore, he rides these boots, and surprisingly enough, they do have a fairly small footprint on the snow. However, they do seem to be quite a bit kind of bigger in the mid-step area around where your ankle strap is. So if you're a guy or a girl who's kind of like me, I like to ride really snug bindings, but I don't know if I'd put my normal size 11 Vans Infuse into a medium size binding because of that larger kind of girth to the mid-step of the Infuse. So keep that in mind. If you're already maxed out on your straps, on your binding with a low profile boot, you may have a difficult time to like making this boot fit into a very short strap style ankle binding. Keep that in mind. Awesome boot. Pat Moore, good job. And Vans, thumbs up. Make sure to check these things out at the house by selecting the link below. Subscribe to the channel there, check out more vids there. And, of course, hopefully, I'll see you guys on snow. Peace.